Well, guys, we started a series last week, and we talked about watching your mouth. And what did we talk about? We talked about complaining. We talked about how it gets us nowhere when we complain about our current situation unless we're willing to do something to change it. And we talked all about this aspect of complaining and all these things. And if you remember, I showed you one verse from the Bible that was really particular, and let's put it up on the screen. It says this: out of the overflow of your heart, your mouth speaks. Meaning whatever you have inside of your heart, whatever you have and who you are, that is going to ultimately come out of your mouth. I brought my mouth back, my big set of teeth. So we have this here, and we can understand that what is inside of you will ultimately come out of you at some point. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it uplifts someone or whether it tears them down, whatever is in your heart is going to affect someone's life because it's going to come out of their mouth and go into their ears and affect their heart. So we have to be very careful that we're constantly uplifting one another, that we're constantly being there for one another. And so we talked about that last week. We talked about how we have to be very careful not to complain about what God is doing because God has done something. Well, I want to say a phrase, and I want you to finish it for me. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Pants on fire. You guys remember the story I told you about my phone? You guys remember that, my Sprint phone that I had, and I thought I caught my butt cheeks on fire? You remember that? You remember that? All right, I'll give you a quick recap. Okay, a couple years ago, it was storming outside. It was actually the phone before this phone. And it was a storm. Bethany and I were going to visit someone. We pull in the driveway, and then Bethany runs out. She gets in there. And I was looking for my phone. I was like, okay. And I stuck it in my back pocket, made sure it was in my pocket, ready to go. And I stepped out. And as soon as I stepped out of the car and shut the door, I literally felt all the hair on my arms and on the back of my neck go up. And I heard a huge crack of lightning. And then there was this massive thunder, and it just went boom. And it was huge. It was this massive thunder, and I was like, I literally thought I got struck by lightning. Literally thought I got struck by lightning. And then as I literally jumped from here all the way onto the porch because I was so scared. And I thought I had hurt my butt cheek because the way I jumped, I was like, man, I got a cramp in the back of my butt cheek, whatever. And it was hot. And I was like, I don't know why my butt cheek is hot right now. It was really, well, what ended up happening is when the lightning struck, it actually blew up my phone into my back pocket. And there's a whole story how I went to Sprint. They didn't believe me. Then I had to show them, and then we went through this whole little thing. It was crazy. But I was thinking about this concept of liar, liar, pants on fire, and just this whole concept of how this goes. And do you know one of the first things that you can do as a child is lie? And what's interesting is that no one teaches you as a child to lie. It's actually a natural instinct as a little child to lie about something that is going on. And whether it's your mom or your dad or your grandma or whoever it was, they're like, did you eat that cookie? No. And meanwhile, you have cookie all over your face. You know, you're like, did you take that kid's toy? No. Meanwhile, the kid's crying right next to you and you're holding his toy. You know, did you eat the dog's food? No. Am I the only one that did that? I might be the one with that. I don't know. But did you eat the dog's food? No. But you got dog food all over you and the dog's looking at you like, what? And so we have this concept where we were never, ever taught to lie as a kid. We just naturally did it. There's something inside of us that naturally said, I am not going to tell the truth, that I'm going to lie because I don't want to get in trouble, because I don't want to, I don't want to face the consequences, whatever it might be. We were always taught that lying was wrong. We were always taught that, no, you always need to tell the truth. Now, last week we took a little poll. Asked you how many complained in the last week, in the last 3 days, the last 24 hours, the last 8 hours. We're going to do that again. How many of you have told a lie in the last week? I want you to raise your hand if you have lied in the last week. I want you to raise your hand. Raise your hand, okay? In the last week. So if you know that you have lied. Okay, if your neighbor doesn't have their hand up, look at them and say, are you telling the truth? Ask them right in their eyeballs. Are they really telling the truth? All right. How many of you have told a lie the last 3 days? You're like, yep, I lied the last 3 days. Okay, cool. How many of you told a lie in the last 24 hours? You lied about something straight up. Okay. How many of you lied within the last 2 hours? How many of you lied within the last hour of being here? I did. Totally lied. We were there down there and they were playing Fortnite and they asked me, they're like, how many bodies have you racked up? How many have you killed? I said, 5 million. And they're like, man, you're like a master at this. They're like, how often do you die? I said, I never die. I don't play Fortnite. I couldn't even tell you how to play it. But I told a lie just a couple hours ago. We were downstairs hanging out, talking about all this stuff. And so it's a natural thing. We lie all the time. And we do this thing and we're lying. And the odds are that, if you don't, you say you don't lie and you haven't lied in the last week, you're probably lying. Because it's natural and it's so easy for us to lie. Just like complaining is easy and being thankful is hard, it's the same way with lying. Lying is so easy, but sometimes telling the truth is very difficult. And it's so weird that there's this tendency for us to want to complain, us to want to tell a lie, and it's easier for us to do the wrong thing than it is to do the right thing. And so we have to look at this concept tonight and say, listen, we have to be very careful about what comes out of us. And an average person actually lies 4 times in 24 hours. 4 times. He's like, I lie a lot more than that. 4 times in 24 hours. Let me ask you this. Who do we lie to the most? Wow, okay, that was like bang, bang, bang. Okay, let's slow down, Turbo. Let's talk about your teachers. You lie to your teachers, right? Like, some of you are shaking your head. Some of you are like, yes, we lie to our teacher. So we lie to our teacher. Maybe it's about doing your homework. Maybe it's about cheating, whatever it might be. Secondly, we lie to our parents. I told you stories. I used to try to lie to my parents. It didn't work really well because my mom's a thug. I'd lie to my mom. She'd be like, you're lying to me. I'd be like, nuh-uh. She knew the truth. She knew what was going on. So we lie to our friends. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we lie to all these different people to try to get these different things happening. One test that was done at the University of Massachusetts says that, check this out, that 60% of people cannot meet a new person and have a 10-minute conversation without lying once. So you meet a new person, you think you want to be like, whether it's all macho if you're a guy, or whether it's you want to impress them, or whatever it might be, you lie within the first 10 minutes of meeting someone, 60%. That was done. And I was like, man, that is crazy. So when you meet someone new, you really need to be careful that you're telling the truth in what you do and who you are, because within the minutes of that conversation, you could be lying about the truth. There is a study that was done actually at Penn State University that I found. So just here in our home, that was done, and it studied strictly high schoolers, 9th through 12th grade. They learned that 96% of high school students lie to their parents. 96% lied to their parents. And then what they did is they actually got a record of the main things that they lied about. The number one thing is they lied about what and where they spent their money, whether their homework was done, whether they were dating someone, whether the clothes they wore from home were the same clothes they wore at school. They lied about the movie they're seeing. I got a quick story about that. All right. So is it the Ace Ventura story? Yeah. So I'm at my friend's house. And, I have an older sister, Katie. And Katie is she was very black and white. She sees things very tricky. And in my house, we were not allowed to watch PG-13 movies until we were 25, So that was always the rule. And I remember I watched my first PG-13 movie at my friend Greg's house. And it was Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. And I remember. And so it was storming out, it was raining out, and we didn't want to go ride our bikes and hang out. And so his mom just got us a movie. We watched it. We thought it was funny. And then the rain stopped and it got kind of nice out. So we went out and we started riding our bikes, and we were hanging out and riding our bikes. And then my sister decided to come out of my parents' house and ride her bike as well. And we're riding, and she's like, so what'd you guys do? I was like, nothing. And my friend Greg was like, we watched a movie. I'm like, shh, you're going to blow the cover. You can get me in trouble. And so we're riding the bikes, and we're and hanging out. I go, what movie you watch? And he says, Ace Ventura. I go, and I cough real loud to make sure my sister doesn't hear. And he looks at me, he's like, dude, are you okay? I was like, I'm going to kill you. And automatically my sister's like, what was that? And he goes, oh yeah, we watched Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. And then she looked at me. When your brother and sister, they're I'm going to get you in trouble. You know what I'm saying? You know that look? Like my sister, she rode that bike so fast, and I was like, I could not catch her fast enough. She goes in, she tells my mom, she tells my dad. Next thing I hear, my mom's yelling at me, you need to come inside right now. And then I died, and then my dad had to bring me back to life later because my mom was like so mad and upset that we watched that. But anyhow, so I tried to lie to my sister. It didn't work out too well. The other top things that teens lie about are drinking, drug use, partying, and actually the last thing is being in a car with a drunk driver. 96% of teens are going to lie to their parents. And so I was really thinking about this concept of why is it that we really have this tendency to lie? Why is it that there's something inside of us that has this tendency to lie about things? And I remember what the Bible said in Proverbs 12:22. It says this, that the Lord hates or detests lying lips, but he delights in those who tell the truth. So the Lord detests lips that lie, but he delights in those who tell the truth. And I was looking at this, and I did a little study where it says the Lord detests lying lips, and it comes from the word to. Why don't we put that up on the screen? Let's go ahead to that Hebrew word. And so detest actually comes from the Hebrew word to'abah, and it means something that is literally disgusting. So what this is actually saying is that God literally is disgusting to him when we lie. It's disgusting to him when we lie. Is it disgusting to you when people lie? When someone says a lie about you or to you or whatever it might be, when they lie to you, it's disgusting. It makes you feel gross. The Bible literally says that the God that created you and me, that it makes him sick, that it disgusts him, that when we have lies that come off our lips. And I was thinking how God literally gets nauseous when we tell a lie. And we lie about these things and we don't tell the truth. And the Bible is filled with scriptures about telling the truth and how we should always tell the truth and what's happened. Then there's this really interesting verse in John 8:44. I don't know if I have it from this. Oh, I do have it. Okay. This is what it says. The devil was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth. For there is no truth in him. When the devil lies, check this out. It says he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Man, that's a loaded verse. That it's literally saying that this being, this dude, the devil, he's literally made up of lies. He literally does not know how to tell the truth. For there is no truth in him. His native language, what he speaks, what he talks about, what comes out of his mouth is constant lying. So maybe, just maybe, this is why God gets so frustrated and hates lying so much, because the devil, the great deceiver, whatever you want to call him, his number one weapon is lying. And when we participate in lying, we participate in exactly what he does. Crazy. That when we begin to lie, we do the very thing that God hates, because we're not telling the truth. The Bible says that God is truth. And he's true in all of his ways. So here we have this opposite that we talk a lot about. We have God, we have the devil, we have good, we have evil, we have right, we have wrong. All the beings that consist of God are good and right, and all the ones that consist with the devil are evil and wrong. So you have the lying and you have the truth. And so we have to navigate through all this. And so it made me think, why do we lie? What are the three reasons we lie? And I decided to give you my three reasons of why. Number one is this. I often would lie to escape punishment. You know what I'm saying? Like when your mom and dad ask you if you did something you know you're not supposed to, so you lied and said no you didn't because you didn't want to get in trouble. The number one thing, or your teacher or your principal or your coach or someone asked you why you lied, and it was like, nah, you know, you might tell your mom you spent your allowance on a school project, but you really bought the pizza. Or you really got the nugs, or you told your mom you were going to one place and you totally went to your friend's house, or you told your teacher you did this and you really did something else. And so you would lie to them to escape punishment so that you wouldn't get in trouble, because you don't want to get grounded, you don't want to get your cell phone taken away, you don't want any of these things. So it's easy just to lie to them and say, nah, I didn't do it. Number two is this. I believe that we tell lies because we want to hide something. Sneaky. We got something to hide. something we don't want people to know. So what do? We lie to hide something about ourselves that we might not feel comfortable about, or we lie something that we're ashamed about. And so we got to understand through lying, we try to keep our secrets safe. This might be because we're afraid or because we don't want people to know our real motives, or, it's this thing that we just do because we feel like we got to protect ourselves. So we'll lie to other people to not let them know the truth. So we escape punishment. We try to hide something that's going on. The third thing I thought of is this. I think that we lie to protect someone sometimes important to us. We might use the term a little white lie. We might use the term, a little fib. But what I have found is that lying is lying regardless of how it's done. Whether it's something big or whether it's something small. In the end, when we're trying to lie to protect things and not bring forth truth, it ultimately can also bring a ton of pain and hurt to situations. I know in my life personally, I've tried to lie because I thought I was protecting people, and I only made the situation worse. So I think these are three main reasons why we do lie and why we have these lies that happen in our life. And I think, you got to think about times that you have lied. Maybe even recently, maybe even today. Why have you lied? Were you afraid what would happen if you didn't lie? Were you afraid of the result? You were afraid of getting in trouble? What was it about you lying? What happened? And I was thinking about the process of lying. How does this really work? How does this work when we lie? Well, let's break this down and look at it this way. There's a 3-step process in this. Number one is this. You lie to other people. Ultimately, if you tell a big enough lie, and tell it frequently enough, it will be believed, right? So if I tell a lie enough and tell it frequently and tell it to as many people as I can, then ultimately people will begin to believe that, right? It was said actually that Adolf Hitler would actually do this all the time. He would constantly just fill all of the Nazi regime with lies and lies and lies and lies, and then people began to believe them because they were said enough. And you guys all studied in school what happened because of the result of the Nazis taking over and the deaths of many, not just Jews, but of handicaps and people that were of different races and all of these things. Why? Because one man believed, if I tell a lie enough, people will begin to believe it. I just got to keep telling it. So we lie to others, and we continue to keep up this lie so that people will believe something that isn't true about us in the first place. People will believe a big lie sooner than a little one if you repeat it and keep saying it. So we have to understand that is why we try to lie to other people to impress them. And then what happens is we start at this first step of lying to others, but then ultimately what that does to us, then we begin to lie about ourselves. So we believe the lie to others, and then you lie to yourself. And you ever tell one lie to cover up another lie? Right? So you tell one lie to cover up this lie, and then you end up lying about this lie to cover up this lie, and then you lie about the lie that you just lied about so that you can keep lying about other things, and the next thing you know, you're in a spider web of lies, just telling lies all the time to people. Why? Because that's what happens. You lie to yourself and to who you are, and you believe these lies. And you say, well, I'm not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to get in that much trouble. I'm not hurting many people, so I'm not, if I just keep this lie up a little bit, maybe that lie is about your identity. Maybe that lie is about something you believe in. Maybe that lie is about something you've done, something you claim that you've accomplished that you never really did accomplish. So we lie to others, and ultimately, when we lie to others, then we begin to lie to ourselves. And then what happens is something very interesting. And you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, is that you lie with your life after that. Because you told a lie to others, because you lie to yourself, you lie with your life. And if there's anything I want you to remember tonight, anything you want to write down, anything you want to put in your phone is this, that a lie believed as truth will affect your life as if it were true. I'm going to say that again so that you can get that. That a lie believed as truth in your life will affect your life as if it were true the longer that you believe it. So the longer I begin to just have a lie that is in my life, the more I allow it to affect me, the more I begin to think that that's who I am. Let me give you a perfect example. When you hate who you are and you begin to hate your body image and you hate yourself, and you begin to do things, you begin to lie to yourself about this and about that you're ugly, that you're not worth it, that you have no value, that nobody's gonna care about you, nobody's gonna love you. What happens is ultimately you begin to believe this lie, and because you believe this lie, it begins to get in your brain and affects you as if it were true, and then you actually, truly, 100% believe that you are worth nothing to this world. Or maybe it's not that. Maybe you think that you're really not smart enough, that you're too dumb, that you're not going to make it, that you just can't do this, and you begin to speak these things and say these things over you, and you're like, I'll never make it, I'm too dumb, I'm not smart enough, I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to go to college, I won't be able to be successful, and when you spit that out, and you spit that out, and you spit that out of you, then what ultimately happens is you actually believe that you are not smart enough. You actually begin to do what is called self-destruction unto yourself when you begin to believe a lie that was spoken over your life. But see, sometimes what happens is that people speak lies over your life, and you begin to believe that. When a parent or someone over you tells you you're worthless, you'll never amount to anything, you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, you're that, all these things, and you begin to believe these things, and they get into your heart, and they get into you, and they affect you because you believe that that is the truth, and it's not. And this is what we have to understand, that there has to be this separation between the truth and the lie in our lives. Listen, guys, I know how tempting it is sometimes. I know how hard it is sometimes. When you've had hard relationships, hard friendships, hard dating relationships, you've had all of these things, all of the hardships in life. I understand. I've been there. But can I tell you that every time I have told a lie, every time I've told a lie about in my life, every single time that I did this, that when I would lie, my yes was a long way from my real yes, and my no was a long way from my no. Meaning that I was totally lying really about this concept of who I was to everyone. I've mentioned this many times before, but you guys got to remember that when I was a teenager, I was growing up, I lied about who I was all the time. I was like, yeah, I know who Jesus is. I lied that I was this good Christian kid, that I did all this good Christian stuff, when all of the time I was out doing things that just totally mocked who God was. I denied God with my whole life that I lived. But I would lie to everyone, be like, yeah, I'm a good Christian. I'm a good Christian boy, and I do all these right things, and I know who Jesus is, and I know the Bible. I didn't know, and I lived this lie, and I began to just really believe that it affected me, and as it did, it got into my heart. But I said that lying is easy. Telling the truth is hard. See, I want you to understand tonight, guys, anyone can tell a lie. Anyone can tell a lie, but it takes someone with real courage to always tell the truth. Because let's be honest, sometimes the truth is hard, right? Sometimes the truth is hard. Sometimes the truth is it's not what we want to hear, because the truth is difficult for us to comprehend and to get. But when you tell the truth, you will always have a clear conscience knowing that you did the right thing. Because remember, we do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. So we have to understand that telling the truth is the right thing that we are called to do. It's what God wants us to do. It's what people want us to do. And I will tell you, if you live a life of always telling the truth, you will make it so much further in your career, in your college, in your relationships, in your marriage, as a parent, however it might be. When you stand on truth, truth will never let you down. It will never let you down. It'll be something that will be a place that you can stand on. You know, one of the hardest feelings to deal with sometimes is when something big is going on and you don't get an invite to it. That you don't get an invite to go to something. And I was actually thinking about this today, how one of the worst feelings is when you know everybody's going somewhere and you weren't handed the invite. Because you feel like you're let down, you feel like you don't matter, and it's like everybody's gonna go to this party and hang out and go to this grad party, but you weren't invited. Everyone was invited to the birthday party to hang out and do all this stuff, but you weren't invited. And I was thinking about this concept of invitations and how we're invited to go somewhere. Why? Because someone wants us there enough to do that. You matter enough where I want to invite you to come to this thing with me. I want to invite you to be a part of this. I want to invite you to hang out with us. An invite makes you feel really good. But I was thinking about this. Every single one of us has two choices. Because we can offer up two invitations to the world to invite them into our life. See, the first one is we can invite people into our life, and our life can just be one big lie. I can invite you to come and step into my life, but know that when I am asking you to step into my life, all my life consists of is a lie. So I'm inviting you into a world of lies when you come and you hang out with me. That's all my world consists of. That I lie about who I am, I lie about what I do, I lie about where I go, what I like, everything. I lie about liking this person, and I lie about my friends. I lie about everything. So we all have this invitation when we meet people for the very first time to invite them into our life and say, welcome to my life is a lie. So that's one invitation that we can offer to the world and say, listen, you can come and hang out with me and be a part, and I can invite you to come into my life of lie. Or you can invite people to come into a life of truth. Saying, listen, I'm not perfect. I don't have it all together, but my life is an invite to truth. To invite you in to come and to be a part of my life, I'm going to tell you the truth, even when it hurts sometimes, even when it's hard. But I'm going to live a life of truth rather than a life of lies. So ultimately, when we meet people for the very first time, 96% of people invite and say within the first 10 minutes, welcome to my life. And instantly they welcome them to a life that begins with a lie. Imagine if we could change statistics and we could change the way things go, and we can invite people into a world that's a world of truth. That within the first 10 minutes, you're just telling the truth. Oh, dude, well, how many baskets you score in that basketball game? You know you only scored 4. So say that you scored 4. Don't say that you scored 14. You know that you got a C- on that paper. Not a B, not an A. You know that you got a C-. So when someone asks you, hey, how'd you do on that paper? Offer them the truth. Offer them the truth. Because a lie is only going to make things harder for you. Because a lie is something that no relationship should be built on. So when I think about this 96%, I think about all of you, because you're my teenagers, you're my crew. And I want to see you live a life and invite people into a world of truth and not a world of lies. And I think the biggest thing is this. I think God is a God that wants you to live a life that is true. And what's cool is this, is that God actually sends out invites as well. Did you know that? That God actually sends invites to our life and says, listen, I can offer you an invite to know what truth is. And that invite is coming into a relationship with Jesus. Because the Bible says that I am the way, the truth, and the light. That nobody sees the Father but through me. And this is what Jesus says in the Gospels. That if you want to know truth, I invite you into my world that consists of the truth of who I am. See, being a Christian is not easy. We've talked about this. Being a Christian and loving Jesus and living for him and trying to do the right thing will turn people off. People won't like you. They'll judge you. They'll be mean to you. They'll ridicule you. They'll hate on you, whatever it might be, because they have this warped mentality of who they think that God is. But God says, listen, I invite you into a world of truth to know me through Jesus. And that's such a beautiful invitation. That's the invite that everybody is looking for, is that invite to come and to know who God is. Not that it's always going to be perfect, but it's always going to be worth it. Or we can accept the other invitation, which is just continually being invited to living a life of lies. And I was thinking about this. If I were to pass you out invites tonight, and I were to tell you, I'm going to give you 2 different types of invites, lie and truth. When you go to school tomorrow, within the first several minutes, how many of you pass out truth? How many of you pass out lies? What do you give to each person? What is it inside of you? Because remember, out of what? The overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So really, is it truth that is coming out your mouth, or is it lies that are coming out your mouth? See, the world is looking for truth because they're sick of the lies. Because what we're finding is lies don't get us anywhere. You could turn on the TV and see it anywhere on the news. You can see it anywhere in entertainment where people have lied and they've hurt each other. You can just see it in your own family where lies have hurt and destroyed. But you know what the other thing we can see is we can see truth in the world. We can see where truth has been very successful in doing amazing things. We can see how truth has changed people's lives. And we can see how ultimate truth of connecting with and knowing who Jesus is has been the best thing that has ever happened. I know for me personally, it's the best thing that has happened to me. Giving my life to Jesus turned everything around. It's Jen's birthday, and it's great that we celebrate her birthday, but she will sit here and tell you the best thing that has ever happened to her is when she encountered who Jesus was. Because truth was an invitation of truth was presented to her, and she accepted it. And now she's able to extend truth to so many people. The same with Jeffrey and Ryan and so many other leaders, and so many of you have accepted that. But why are we not inviting people to tell the truth? Because every question is an opportunity for you to either tell the truth or for you to tell the lie. But it's solely up to you what you decide to do with it. Let's bow our heads tonight. I want you to evaluate just for the next several moments where you're at with your life. We played a game in the beginning, 2 truths and a lie. Then we had Thomas come up and we had him, as best he could, describe something that he didn't know was in the box. And so the whole night tonight has been around this premise of lying. But again, Luke 6:45, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the overflow of what is inside of you comes out of you. And your generation and your culture needs truth. They don't need you to be someone else who just piles on the lies and throws them on the pile. They need you to be someone that is honest, that is truthful, that is willing to say the right thing and to do the right thing because it's the right thing. So I want to encourage you and I want to challenge you tonight to evaluate your heart right now. Is it truth or is it lie that comes out of you? What is it that's coming out of you? What is it that we need this change to happen so that the overflow that is in our heart is truth that comes out of our mouth? Well, I don't know about you, but I know that even for me, I need to make constantly sure that truth is flowing out of me. So tonight as I pray, I want to invite you. You're more than welcome to pray with me. You can say it out loud. You can say it in your heart. But I want to give you an invitation to truth tonight. God, I thank you and praise you for who you are. I thank you for the amazing things that you have done in my life that I know about, and the amazing things that you've done in my life that I don't know about. I'm thankful that you have always been there, and that you've always been truth in a world of lies. But God, I need to be better in who I am as a person and as a Christian. So God, tonight I pray that you forgive me for the times that I have lied. I pray that you will take those from me and that you will plant truth in my heart so that truth is constantly the thing that overflows from me and out of me. And God, then what I can do is I can invite people to truth. I can invite them to connect and to know the truth and not invite them to my life of lies, but to a life of truth that is rooted and grounded in you, Jesus. So thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for all that you've done. I pray that you make me stronger in who I am, stronger in knowing you, that you draw me closer to you, that I love you and that I love people the way that you do. And that just as you live truth out each and every day, that I will be able, these students, these leaders, these guests, we will all be able to live truth out each and every day so that we can show a world that it can be changed. And we can take that 96% and we can begin to cut it down more and more because there is a generation that is willing to tell the truth. God, I thank you for these things. I pray that they will be seated in our heart. And we pray all these things in Jesus' name. And everybody said, Amen, amen. Guys, remember, you don't ever have to apologize for telling the truth, but you will always have to apologize for telling a lie.